Hello and welcome to another episode on Maritime Radar. The ocean is one of the vital gifts of God to man. It offers various ecosystem services that enable human existence on Earth. Covering about 1/3 of the Earth's surface, the ocean or the marine environment helps in climate regulation, providing supporting services and cultural services apart from its provision of food and medical resources. As we celebrate yet another International Women's Day, ensuring that women has a place on the decision-making table in a male-dominated maritime industry are issues that will be on the front burner on today's show. I'm Nneoma. Obi-Asualo. Over the years, man's bid to cultivate and harness the natural resources for survival and development has been threatening the ocean's ability to offer its services to man. Today, waters are exposed to all sorts of threats from human exploitation and environmental pollution. As resource managers and homekeepers, African women have been actively involved in tree planting, combating windstorms, and the management of communal water resources as they have more intense contact with the environment and suffer more from environmental degradation. This has and should continue to deepen their understanding and commitment to ecological preservation. Before we get further into today's lineup on the program, let's find out the latest in maritime news.
The Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Shippers Council, Emmanuel Jime, at the 2023 edition of the International Women's Day organized by the Council in conjunction with the Women in Logistics and Transport, WILAT, represented by Ada Okam, Deputy Director, Human Resources, disclosed that the Council has surpassed the 35% affirmative action recommendation of the United States for Women. The President Chartered Institute of Transport and Logistics, Barrister Mfom Usoro, encouraged women to create and harness opportunities inherent in the industry in order to meet up with men operating in the sector. Keynote speaker Fumi Selika spoke on the importance of women collaborating.
So as women, don't say because I do a 9 to 5, that's where I belong. Don't say because I have children, that is my place. Don't ever take the back bench. Tell yourself, I can't be whatever I want to be.
The chairperson of WILAT, Khadija Saidu Shabi, noted that 15 years ago, the percentage of women on the maritime industry was about 7, but today, women currently occupy more administrative positions. There were several awards and recognitions handed out. Nneoma Obi-Asualo, the anchor and producer of Maritime Radar, was recognized and inducted for her consistent promotion of the female gender through her platform.
Anybody who watches Maritime Radar will know that 90% of her guests are women. She has done so much to give women the visibility and recognition that they were talking about.
I want to also thank my platform, New Central TV, for the opportunity they've given me to do what I really want to do. I also want to thank WILAT. This love is immense. It's immense. From the time I walked into this place, I've been shown so much love. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else but here.
Nigeria's government has ranked 36 government ministries, departments and agencies on the Ease of Doing Business presidential order. Special advisor to the President's Ease of Doing Business Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council Secretary Dr. Jumoke Oduwole, while addressing a press conference on the public official release of the Council's 2022 Executive Order 001 Compliance Report, said that the codification of the directives in the Business Facilitation Act 2022 is a major development in the effort to entrench the executive order in the psyche of the civil service. It is expected that the legal provisions will serve as a stimulus for a more transparent and efficient public service delivery in Nigeria. A breakdown of the report shows that the Nigerian Shippers Council scored 19.28%. The Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, FAN, 16.03%, and the Bank of Industry 14.83%. And coming in at number 1 was the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board at 81.11%. The council, chaired by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, was established in July 2026 by President Muhammadu Buhari to remove critical bottlenecks and bureaucratic constraints to doing business in Nigeria. The European Union (EU) has kicked off the second phase of its Import Control System 2 (ICS2) to guide modalities of air shipment into the member states. The ICS2, being a new advanced cargo information and risk management platform, aims to protect against security and safety threats from goods entering the EU. The enforcement, which took off March 1st, 2023, requires of all air carriers, freight forwarders, express couriers, and postal operators involved in the transportation of goods by air to or through the EU to provide a complete set of entry summary declarations data on the goods prior to the arrival at the EU external border. According to the Commission of Tax and Customs, inbound freight must be done through the ICS2 system, which started gradually replacing the EU's existing import control system from 2021. Failure by affected economic operators to obtain the necessary data from their client and to provide it to ICS2 will lead to actions by customs authorities to enforce compliance prior to and on arrival at the external border. Maersk has announced that it is now able to offer direct bookings to Ukraine from anywhere in the world, alleviating a common customer issue over the last year since Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The Danish carrier has started a new weekly barge service from the port of Constanta in Romania to the port of Reni in Ukraine. The company noted that bookings will be subject to operational capacity and the correct documentation being submitted, which includes the legal acceptance of a Ukraine clause due to ongoing risk in the area.
Africa needs its own storytellers, people who understand the continent because they're from it. People who know that news is more than just a conversation starter, it's our stories. Because these stories run deeper than headlines and segments. It's about digging deeper to get the facts and telling the human side of every single story, not just the echoes from foreign headlines and perspectives. It's time to take back our narratives and share them in our voices. The birth of Africa's New Age reporting, and this is where it begins, right here, News Central TV, the stories that put Africa first.
If you are just joining us, this is Maritime Radar. This episode is a call for African women to arise as community activists and environmental advocates to take their place in decision making and ensure their voice is heard on sustainable human development. I spoke to Leila Ben Hassen, an ardent blue economy and gender equality advocate. Stay with us. Hello, Leila, and good to have you on the show.
Good morning, Nneoma, and thank you for inviting me.
The scope of interpretation of the term blue economy varies. In your view, what is blue economy?
I think we should go what is the general definition according to the World Bank, which is the sustainable use of the ocean resources for economic growth, improved livelihood and jobs, while preserving the health of the ocean ecosystem. And I like this definition because there is very important definition and word there, which is sustainable, and it's all about sustainability. When we talk about the blue economy, I believe we have to insist on sustainable blue economy.
Okay, you have the forum, the first ever African Blue Economy Forum you launched in 2018, which is to accelerate Africa's structural transformation and sustainable blue growth. Can you tell us more about that forum?
The Africa Blue Economy Forum first edition was launched in 2018, and I have to say it was very, very challenging edition, because at that time I just started Blue Jay Communication, my communication agency, and I wanted to really be an impactful agency. I didn't want to have an agency like anyone else. When I started Blue Jay, I said all my focus will be about Africa and I want to make a change. It's all about impact. So when I was searching, and this was inspired of a true story, when I was watching on TV one program about the young African traveling and crossing the border, the Tunisian border, which I am originally Tunisian, and they died on the boat. And then it hit me, and I was saying, why they see its platform for death and not its platform for wealth? And this is how the idea of I have to do something about economy, blue economy. And I come from a small island called Kirkina, so I know how it was before, how we used to fish, how we used to have shipping and construction, but suddenly there are so many challenging issues with fisheries, with different sector, because when we say earlier about blue economy is extremely large. So there are traditional sectors in the blue economy and new sectors. So the point of launching Africa Blue Economy Forum, because people at that time didn't know what is blue economy about. So people thought I'm crazy. What is it? The Blue Jay new company and blue economy. What's wrong with blue? What is blue? Because people are familiar with green economy, but they didn't know what is blue economy. And then I said, okay, this first edition will be about raising the awareness to ocean stakeholders. What is blue economy? People are in the blue economy, like all shipping, fishing, ocean science. It is blue economy, but the concept of blue economy was not familiar. And I have to take this opportunity to thank all the media who helped to raise awareness. This edition was about raising the awareness, putting international experts of the blue economy with the African decision makers, policy makers, to start thinking about the strategy for the blue economy, addressing the challenges of blue economy and focusing more on the opportunities, especially for youth and women.
2018 to today, what has been the journey? How have you fared in the journey to this forum?
Well, I have to say that I am very proud. From where I started, what no one knows about the blue economy, or few people, let's say, it's not just about African. I am based in London, and I have been contacting many European companies and people. There was like, what is blue economy? So when I think how I started, when no one knows about the blue economy, and how now everyone is talking about the blue economy in Africa, and there have been other events organized, especially in 2019 in Kenya, big event. And I am very happy, because somehow you feel you started the momentum, and then there are so many people now into the blue economy, so many opportunities, businesses, and always I talk about the traditional sectors and new sectors, and more opportunities, especially in the new sectors coming up. So it's an achievement, a lot to do.
You are passionate about addressing gender gap. In the maritime industry, you will agree with me that it is male dominated. How have you fared in addressing this gender gap? What has been the challenges, and what recommendations will you give to women?
Thank you, Nneoma, for this very interesting question. Indeed, I am very passionate about gender equality and the blue economy. So basically, all my work on focus is about SDG 5 and SDG 14, which are both the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Gender is a big challenge in the maritime industry, because to start with, is perceived as a male-dominated sector. You know, so when you talk about maritime shipping, it's always we think about male sector. So women, they are working there, but somehow, especially before, what we call them the invisible women. So I will take an example of the fisheries. There are so many women are working in fisheries, helping their families, their husbands, their brothers or sons, but they are not included in the ecosystem. And therefore, what we found, and there is a research done by the FAO, where they noticed that these women are not included. So meaning that they are not in the legal, let's say, payroll. So they work, but they are not protected. They don't have the national security. They don't have recognition even as a woman. So thankfully to many institutions, international institutions, and a lot of government, they are doing a lot of efforts to include these women in the ecosystem. However, there is still a lot of work to be done. When you think about seafarers, for example, there is only less than 2% the global seafarers female. So the percentage is very small, but when you think about many years ago, I think it's about 45% increase. So there is progression, which is good news, but still there is a lot of challenges to address this gap. And you ask me how we can address these challenges. Indeed,
your
there are so many. Yeah, there are so many recommendations that I can suggest, and I think I am a big believer in leadership personally. So it has to come from top. So how can we address the gender gap? By number one, imposing, implementing, and having a clear rules, law to address the gender. Meaning, for example, policymakers, governments, they have to have a very specific law or procedure or process to empower women, to include women. And for example, let's say when we talk the workplace, so all the human resources, either in the private sector or in the public sector, they have to have gender equality, meaning if they will recruit male, they have to recruit the same percentage of female. And also, it's not about the number, it's about the position. Women should not always on the bottom. We have to hire more women in the leadership position. So imposing these rules will empower women and will address. So number one is about the work of the leadership, the policymakers. Number two, it's increasing the awareness of this issue. Keep communicating and saying that this is an issue, we have to keep it, address it, to talk about it, either with the leaders, with the CEOs. And when you talk about the problem and address the problem and make it aware, and then people can address it. And also, there are so many, for example, capacity building programs, training program, education. We need to have education, like when you talk about blue economy, we didn't have it before, but now we can include it. From young age, young children, they can be aware what is blue economy. And then for students to include at the universities or training centers or different, education centers, blue economy. So it is a choice. And we have to show people and explain to people what are the opportunities, because if you don't know what is blue economy and what are the opportunities, so we don't go there. So we have to make it engaging and appealing and involve women in decision making. I mean, when I talked about policymakers, we have to include women in the decisions. It's not just there. Also, how can we empower women? We need finance, we need budget for training, we need budget for capacity building. And especially today, with the technology, everything is changing so fast. We need the new skills, upskills, reskills, and we need women to be involved in this process and in this transformation. Budget is important. Otherwise, we can't. How can women be involved in that?
Women must upscale their skills to ensure that a place on the table. We will go on a short break. If we return, Maritime Leader continues. Stay with us.
News Central TV, Africa's #1 storyteller, has come with the best of both worlds. With a combination of news app and live TV, we ensure that you keep track of the latest headlines, breaking news, and in-depth analysis from professional journalists from around the continent. Download the News Central TV app on Android and iOS and get started today. Don't forget to follow us on News Central's social media platforms. News Central, Africa First.
Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Maritime Reader, and I still have with me Leila Ben Hassen. She is a blue economy expert. Before we went on that break, you were mentioning the recommendations for women to be in leadership positions. What other recommendations do you want to make? Before we look at this question, just add them together. And as an international ambassador for Women Africa, how have your association been able to help build capacity, create sensitization and mentorship towards a sustainable human development?
Thank you, Nneoma. To come back to the recommendations, I think one of the important elements is to provide the safety environment for women to work and to be encouraged to work in the maritime sector, because when we said the blue economy is so mainly dominated, and what we found before, that there are so many women, they were sexually harassed, for example, they don't feel safe, they don't feel secure. So we definitely need to create a safe environment for women to encourage them to work in the maritime industry. And I think this is an extremely important recommendation. I mean, either for, as I said, private sector or public sector, all companies, when they hire women, they have to provide the environment for them to work in very healthy, safety, flexible environment. As Women in Maritime Association, Women Africa, what we do, I mean, I have to say that our president is Miss Lawson is doing an amazing job, and all the members of Women Africa Association are very active, and we are doing a lot of work. We have, number one, to start, for example, we have a WhatsApp group, which is, thanks to technology, it's very easy to access the information. So we do a lot of work groups, sharing information whenever there is a training or any course or capacity building. So we do share the information for women and our members to take part of this training. We definitely need constant improvement of personal development our skills, especially with all the changes that are happening rapidly. We need to keep up with these changes, and platform like Women Africa is amazing, because we have so many members in all the continent, from coastal countries or even landlocked countries, because blue economy is created. And Women Africa, for example, are doing a lot of work to encourage women for training all over. And we hope we can have more international collaboration with other institutions to allow our members to have training in other countries or in other institutions.
Good work your association is doing. Then finally,
Experience and
you
knowledge.
can answer this in 1 minute. What conversations should we have around the importance of blue economy to the advancement of Africa?
I think the important conversation that we need to have right now, it's exactly like yesterday a theme, the Women Internationals Day. You know, it's all about digital Africa. So it's the same for Africa. We are not excluded. Actually, it's more than ever when we need to empower Africa with the digital infrastructure. If we need and want to accelerate the sustainable blue economy growth and empower women, then we need technology. How they can improve themselves, how they can learn more, how they can have the opportunity, and how they can have access to technology. Nowadays, thanks to your mobile, you have everything. today our mobile is our data information, it's our access to payment, it's access to financial inclusion. I think technology is extremely important because technology will help definitely to empower women. We need digital infrastructure. So if there is anything urgent to address is the technology and to have access to information easily for women.
I must thank you most kindly for your time on the program. It's been Leila Ben Hassen. She is a blue economy expert. I must thank you most kindly for coming on Maritime Radio.
This is Africa. I bet you've heard a lot about it. But this is what you need to know. It's the home of the youngest and fastest growing population in the world. This, my friend, is opportunity right here. This is the future, and everyone wants Africa's attention. You need a voice that's African, young, conversational, a platform with the potential to reach millions of people across the continent with content they can relate to, such as lifestyle shows, sports and news, just the way they love it. Imagine all the people you could be talking to on News Central TV. Well, don't just think about it. Contact us for sponsorship and advert bookings. Put your brand where Africa is watching. It's News Central TV.
And that's our show this week. I hope you enjoyed it. I did. Every week, join us on Maritime Radar as we explore how Africa can make a difference in ensuring the development of the maritime sector. You can also expect the latest in maritime news and industry insights right here. I'm Nneoma Obi-Asualo. Many thanks for watching. Embrace equity.